Welcome back again. It is Friday. We are doing the 3 a.m. Coney. Again, Lucas, you were caught in traffic, but you are finally here.
Yeah. Tough socks going on right now, and it is a big deal. And they combine it with a bunch of festivals where they close down all the streets.
That's right. I'm going to a festival later today, but thankfully not. I don't have to deal with Chicago downtown traffic.
Yeah, there's a chance I might bike back to work. That's how bad it was.
That sounds super fun.
It's not that bad. Not too far. The nice thing is that anywhere it takes 20 minutes to drive, it also takes 20 minutes to ride a bike. So it doesn't really harm you at all.
There you go. And it's a free workout for you there.
Yeah, not that I wanted one, but
all right, well, let's do not that you need one. Let's do a quick. We're going to do some Coney bites and then a rant with extra cheese. The Reds, let's start off. The Reds are rolling. Crush the Cardinals. Crush the Cubs. Crush the Mets. Split with the Twins. And then beat the Pirates in Game 1. Lucas, what do you like from this Reds team right now, and what do you hate about them?
well, remember at the beginning of the year when I was talking about this team being like that 2005 team? I still like a lot of those same things, and they've gotten even better. I think the lineup has become more well-rounded. We've seen Jonathan India really step into his own and step up. We've seen Joey Votto find his old form after the All-Star break. And I know I've had a lot of negatives about Joey Votto. Never said he couldn't get hot. I never said he couldn't get hot.
I was going to bring it up. I should be dragging you on Twitter with all the Votto slander that I have had to put up with, even on this podcast.
Yeah.
You start talking shit about Joey Votto, and I'm just like, no, he's still banging. He's still banging. He's still in his prime. Do you see what he's doing right now?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Incredible. It's incredible. And it's just about when this ends, when he stops hitting home runs, he just can't be a 220 hitter again. Right? He's got to, because back when Joey Votto was really clicking and he would have these really hot second halves, even when the home runs went away, he was still producing doubles and triples and extra base hits. And I believe that's going to continue. I think he's in for one last second half where he really looks like the old Joey Votto. He just looks that locked in. 10 home runs in 10 days.
Absurd.
I'm not going to come on this podcast and say that it's not happening. I think that's crazy. I think that it's the exact type of luck the Reds need, and the exact type of thing they need to happen to make the postseason, because unfortunately, the people they're chasing are stacked. I mean, the Brewers don't seem to lose. The Padres, Giants, and Dodgers, pick whichever one of them you're trying to catch.
Yeah.
It's a tough uphill climb, but they've added enough pieces in the bullpen to make it realistic. And if the offense continues the way it goes, you get Castellanos back, you get Moose back.
So you jumped into my next Coney bite there with Castellanos back. What are your expectations for this Reds offense now that hopefully the bullpen is going to be a lot better than it was at the beginning half of the season?
I think they'll just be more consistent. I think that's all you can ask for in September, and they'll be explosive. They've been a great offense all year, I think. I don't think there's been much more than a 2-week stretch where you really doubt this Reds offense, where it's really just horrible. I don't think we've seen that this year. What I'm really just excited about, Matt, is that this lineup is good enough and this bullpen is now good enough that we, as in the Cincinnati Reds, are going to be playing important baseball games in September. Do you know the last time that's happened? I'm not counting last year. Last year doesn't count.
I was going to say last year.
Last year does not count. It just doesn't, okay? And it counts for the Dodgers, and that's it, because they get the ring on their finger, and they made it through all that crazy stuff. But last year's shortened season, you don't get to play a full 162. We all know that's not baseball. It's not how it was. It's not how it be.
Does it count for Trevor Bauer? Are you taking away his Cy Young?
Yeah, now that we've heard all these things.
Now we are. It could have counted.
No, the awards, they can stay whatever. It's fine. It's an historical record. But me mentally as a fan, it didn't feel like a real Red season. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So last year doesn't count in my head, to where in a normal baseball season, in the 162-game marathon, the last time the Reds have had important games in September, it's like 2014, right? Mm-hmm. It's been a long time since you've had this type of run where you see the whole team develop and grow. Guys get hot, guys get cold, guys get hurt, guys come back. And we've really fallen in love with this team now, and we get to watch them try to overcome a really large obstacle in September. We haven't experienced that in a long time when it comes to the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
I am excited for it. That's all I've been asking for the last 4 years. Just give me important games with fans in the stands in September, and we're going to get that this year in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and that's funny that's where we're at now when our expectations earlier in the season were just stay above 500. Like if you can get me to a point where I can start to believe that you might be able to make the playoffs and make a run, but I'm not going to be all in with this team expecting that you're going to pull something out unless you're staying over 500 and getting to the next step, and they have done that. I'm going to switch over. Let's talk FC Cincinnati for a second. You said you just started watching Ted Lasso, right? How many episodes in are you?
5.
Five. Okay. First season is amazing. Watching the second season right now, it's the second episode of the second season was probably one of my favorites so far. But yeah, everyone should be watching Ted Lasso. If you still are not, even after watching Joey Votto talk about Roy Kent and Jamie Tart pointing me, it's as a soccer player, big soccer fan, it's an incredible show. But at the beginning of the second season, you have the team under Ted Lasso that has 8 draws in a row or something like that. You're not at that point yet, but they keep talking about a curse. They keep talking about how is this team going to get over the hump, and it is eerie how much it reminds me of Cincinnati sports in general. But FC Cincinnati, I finally got my dad to go to a game. I've been to every home match since the first one, and they're still right on the cusp, but they need a little bit more to get past these draws, to be able to be up 2 men, still draw, concede 2 goals. They're not there. They're not there yet.
Yeah, but draws are better than losses. And this team is literally FC Cincinnati from 2019 into the 2020 year of the pandemic is literally one of the worst North American sports teams ever. Like it's top 20 at least. So that's the list they're on. That's the list they've made. It was an absolute unmitigated disaster from every level of play. Okay. So every time I see 0-0 draw pop up, or I go rewatch the match and I see 0-0, or I will get to watch it live and I see a draw, you know what? They didn't lose. And it's going to be that way for a while. We just fired the general manager today, Gerard Nijkamp.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Mm-hmm.
So what am I supposed to expect here? Like they had a real fair real unfair entry into the MLS.
Yeah.
And since then, they've been kind of a lost ship. They didn't do much in the transfer window, barely anything at all. And they're just going to be a team that can draw, hopefully win at home. And that's the boat we're in. Now, it's a type of boat that if it goes the right way, you get lucky a few times. Sport of soccer can get really weird. It's a big enough playoff field in the MLS that they could be a playoff team. Very, very unlikely, but maybe somewhat. And that's enough of a reason to go to these games and to support this fantastic club that has a ton of potential, but they're just starting off rough. They're a rough expansion team. That's happened in sports before. That's Tampa Bay. They just celebrated a Super Bowl, right? It's happened. So I think just be calm, enjoy the draws while they come. At least they're not losing.
I think the way you are with Bengals is flipped with me with FC Cincinnati. I have higher expectations for them. I have wanted an MLS team in Cincinnati my entire fucking life. And the fact that it's here, but not really here because they just stay low enough in expectations and in play to piss me off. That's probably what you have been with the Bengals for all this time. But I am treating this season, it is new stadium season. It is welcome to our open house. We just got a new house. Look how amazing and beautiful it is. And then, don't mind the shit over there. I'll clean that up. And it's just the play will come later. The fans, the stadium, the experience, all of that is there now. And we're gonna be there and ready to run when FC Cincinnati comes around.
Well, it's important to maintain that. You got to maintain that culture of excitement because that's the only thing that's going to get players to come to Cincinnati, which is what you'll need if you want MLS success. The thing about soccer is
Messi,
the supporters.
Come on over, Messi.
Probably not. That would be fun, but I don't think so. I think he thinks Cincinnati is just cornfields. Like Who is that in the draft process?
Oh, wait, I just got an alert. Messi to PSG. Oh.
I saw that. I didn't know if we were going to talk about that.
Okay, we can move past that.
Anyway, Messi going to PSG, not FC Cincinnati, but he'll be in the MLS within like 4 years.
Yeah.
But he'll just be scoring goals in Cincinnati, not playing for Cincinnati.
That's fine. I will go to every single game that he comes near.
I'll happily see it too. So
there you go.
With FC Cincinnati, you've got to maintain that energy as a fan base, the positivity, because that's what's going to attract mid-level to high-level players as we move forward. It'll help the culture build, because if that eliminates, I mean, it's not a good path you go on. Yeah. So just stay supportive. They're really early. It's going to be a whole new group of faces in terms of manager, general manager, everything, like every year or two until they find something successful.
Something's going to stick.
Eventually, yes.
All right, let's go to the Bengals. We were going to talk Bengals hype, but now we might need to call out everyone freaking out about Joe Burrow and the offense. Is it the Bengals defense is doing really, really good? Is it Joe Burrow is easing himself in, has a little bit of a mental stop with his knee? What is happening right now with the Bengals?
I mean, I can't see it, so I can't like fairly report it. I mean, I can only read what others say, and I can know what they've reported in the past and how much I should trust them. I can see the highlights. I can hear from my sources about what, they think's going on, but they're not seeing that much either.
Okay, so what do you think in taking all of this information, but from Chicago?
I think it's ridiculous that we're talking about it. I mean, God, it's August 6th, like we're not even in September. Like the Reds haven't even played 130 games yet. Like the fact that it is a storyline to me just shows the level of pressure that's on the Cincinnati Bengals football team. They can't have a bad day at practice.
Yeah.
They can't have bad days at practice.
And
you're going to read reports today about the Friday practice that the offense didn't look great today either. The thing is if you go around and you read training camp reports from elsewhere, there's a lot of teams that are having struggling offenses and they aren't making national news, right? The Bengals are fodder. They feel like they're easy to pick on. And that's exactly what happened. And I hate blaming Paul Dehner Jr. does a great job and Jay Morrison who do a great job. And I just think that there was a lot of inflammatory language used that I didn't find necessary to use. If we watch Joe Burrow, I guarantee if we all went down and watched practice together as a fan base and we watched Joe Burrow throw, I don't know if all of us would come away using the word ugly and disastrous. And
I don't think I could ever describe Joe Burrow as ugly in anything that he does.
Because guess what? The ball is probably spiraling and he's missing by that much. It's just this kid has set the level of expectation so high that when he comes under it just a little bit, people freak out.
What's wrong?
What's going on? And
he's not the Joe Burrow that I dreamed about.
This idea that Joe Burrow has lost his confidence magically since OTAs, because what everybody's forgetting is there were reports that Joe Burrow did not throw an incompletion in several periods of 7-on-7 at OTAs. Did not throw an incompletion. So how on earth is he not confident?
How do you go from that to now?
He's seen 2 days of a live rush. 2 days of a live rush. By the way, the kid added 5.5 miles per hour on his release. Does that affect timing? I think it does. I think that's a pretty rare transition for a player to make. The fact that he found a way to add almost 6 miles per hour to the velocity on the football. Boy, that's different timing. That's a different deep ball. That's a different in. That's a different out. There's a million different reasons that you can explain away Joe Burrow. You can blame the receivers. Oh, and by the way, every bad play that happens to a Bengal right now is because another Bengal probably did a damn good job. So we're forgetting that too. What if Awuzie and Hilton and these guys and Von Bell and Jesse Bates, what if they're the best secondary in the league? And we just don't know it yet. Because here's the thing that I've been thinking about was last year's training camp and how excited I was that Joe Burrow, a rookie with no offseason, was annihilating the Bengals defense. I was like, this is great. Joe's going to be so good. And Joe came out.
Showed how bad the defense was.
And Joe came out in the first half against the Chargers and looked lost on the field. And we know what happened with the defense 2-3 weeks later. They collapsed. So I know that for our Twitter brains and for hot takes and for sports shows and for podcasts, I know that right now it would be so much better for us to have Joe Burrow having a perfect day at camp, going 18 of 18 and throwing 3 touchdowns. Boy, wouldn't that make you feel nice?
I would sleep beautifully that night.
Is that the best thing for the Cincinnati Bengals? No. Any person that knows football could say that. No, it's not. Because the number one thing that's got to happen this year, if you want to be a 10-win team, forget the offense, forget 1,000-yard receivers, forget Joe Burrow, forget Joe Mixon, forget the offensive line. The number one thing that has to happen if you want to be a 10-win team is that defense has to be at least mediocre. Has to be. And it's been about as dreadful as the Bengals defenses have ever been over the last 3 or 4 years. So the fact that we're coming into camp and we as a fan base and we as a reporting structure, we're able to talk about the team in a way that instead of the message being funneled to the national media that, hey, all these changes on defense, they might really do something. This is a dangerous offense, and they're draping them. They're covering. They're making life tough. There's some really great throws that are getting knocked down. Instead of us talking about it that way, and again, not blaming the reporters, they're just reporting. It's about how we interpret the information. But instead of it coming out that way, we have somehow allowed, as a fan base, the national media and everybody to concoct this random storyline that a guy coming off of an ACL and MCL has lost it. After no evidence or indication of the fact in the 7.5 months of his recovery, after no indication or evidence of the fact in the hundreds of conversations he's had with reporters or Boomer Esiason or anybody over the offseason, or the hundreds of quotes we've had about his rehab, his mentality towards it, the way he runs and feels on the knee, or the thousands of stories we have about Joe Burrow, his resiliency, his confidence, his ability to overcome everything. I mean, I don't know how we let this happen as a fan base, but personally, I blame us for those stories running in the national media. I do.
You blame the fan base.
We allowed ourselves to be insecure about it.
Mm.
We were insecure on Twitter, and all these guys wanted to stir up the Chase Sewell debate, which, my God, you want to do that all August? Every time Jamar Chase makes a catch, do you want me to tweet about it? Do you want me to tweet and say how dumb it was that every time Penny Sewell has a false start up in Detroit, do you want me to tweet about it? Is that the game we're going to play all August? Is that really what we're going to do? So Bengals fans, you got to look in the mirror and realize that if Joe Burrow doesn't work, that's it. That's it for the Bengals. So you better just hop onto the optimism train because it's got to work, right?
Yep.
So the fact that we're out here questioning it, like there's no other guy. There's no other savior. There's no other chance. The decisions that have been made and the quarterback we've selected, that's it. If we don't win it with this guy, it ain't ever happening. So we need to turn this thing around and start making an optimism train because it's not fair to those offensive players that they get on Twitter and the entire fan base that 3 weeks ago thought they could be the best offense since 2008 because they'd have 3,000-yard receivers and a 1,000-yard back. All of a sudden, now they suck. And that's what this fan base has allowed us to do. We cannot let this happen. We do it every time. All our teams alive. It's not fair. It's the first week. They just did install. They're taking their time.
See, and I mean, and this is the issue. And we could have an entire show talking about the ridiculousness of Cincinnati fans where they are so used to this roller coaster that any hint of something negative, any hint coming from national media, coming out of camp, I mean, a player tweets something, they are instantly into panic, cry in the corner mode. I think there's a difference between this almost sarcastic kind of, well, here we go again, and what I've seen a lot of, especially Bengals fans, do, which is you are full in toxic positivity or you're full out. and you are the very first sign of something wrong, and you are complaining like it is the end of the world, your life cannot go on because Joe Burrow had a bad day at camp.
You went 5 of 12 too. I mean, it's not like, I know that's the end of the world. Like 5 of 12 with an interception, not good, right? But again,
it's not the end. We are at the first week of August. If your entire life is built around how Joe Burrow does, and that day in camp, you need to reprioritize your existence.
Yeah. The problem is, though, is I'm looking at it as much as anybody else because I'm intrigued. I want to see how he develops. And I think it's a process. But do you know what makes it really sad is I hope that word of all this noise, which I'm sure it has now because we made a lot of damn noise, but now noise of this is going to get to Joe Burrow. And he's going to sit back, and he's a competitive guy, and he hates being doubted. And it's going to get in his head. Well, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I am too timid on the knee. Boy, I really need to play in the preseason. And now the one thing that I didn't want, which is the fan base, because of pressure or whatever, now we've turned it into Joe Burrow's got to play in the preseason to prove that he's still good. That's where we're at now. Now we're going to make a guy coming off an ACL, MCL, because guess what? If these struggles continue and the national media keeps coming and the doubts keep coming from the local fan base, you don't think Joe Burrow is going to find a way to play in a preseason game?
I think,
I might add, he's going to do.
I think he's going to. I think he already wants to. Yeah, I think he already wants to. If it was up to Joe Burrow, he would play every snap of every preseason game. But I think this could be a benefit to us. Joe Burrow has already said that he's ignoring social media. He deleted it off his phone, doesn't need the distractions. Meanwhile, you got Juju planning his next TikTok of the day. I can't. I've tried to watch this video. I can't do it. I don't understand at all. I guess children love it. But
Von Bell.
Oh no. But even if word of this gets to Joe Burrow, even if he can tell, okay, I'm not up to the par that I believe that I should be right now, none of this matters. You're talking about practice. You're talking about preseason. Joe Burrow is smart enough that he should be able to ride this little bit of they're doubting me. And then week 1 of the regular season is where, all right, now I'm proving you wrong.
Oh, my God. I just think that Twitter's going to blow up if against the Vikings he goes like 1 for 4 on the first drive. Like, people are going to lose their mind. And it's just not fair.
We need a hashtag for that. We'll just call them out.
Listen.
Save the receipts.
In my preseason, I predicted the Bengals would lose week 1, Matt. Because the Vikings have, according to The Athletic and Shellcopedia, the #1 expected defense this year. Yep. They had a lot of injuries last year. They are a great defense.
I mean, Zimmer, absolutely.
I think they're going to lose week 1. I think they're a 9-8 team because I don't believe in Zach Taylor's ability to coalesce things quickly. I'm starting to believe in him over time. And what's happening is not okay. It's going to be a long-ass season if it starts like this, right?
Yeah.
Long-ass season. Because there's a lot of things that we're going back over that we shouldn't be. And I was Team Jamar Chase. Hard Team Jamar. I was Team Jamar, like one of the first on Team Jamar.
You had a hard Jamar, I remember.
Like back in December, I was Team Jamar Chase. But if Penny Sewell were our pick,
Penny Sewell
behind it, I wouldn't be sitting there watching Jamar Chase in Atlanta highlights. Okay, that's not what I would be doing.
Yeah,
it was the decision the team made. There were pros and cons on each side, and this, Browns fans need to shut up and go home too, because they are about.
We don't save. Do not go off on another rant. We are out of time. You could save that rant for next week.
Like that, I just leave it. Remind your own team, damn it.
Okay, I'm writing this down. Browns fans, that's your rant for next week.
Well, they think, we'll help out our Ohio brethren who kicked our ass for 10 years. It's because we won one playoff game.
That's a pretty good Cleveland accent. You been working on that?
No, this is a Cleveland accent. Boy, that's a nice stadium, but I can't feel it over the lake, chill.
You're from Chicago. That's even colder. I don't.
Oh no, man.
Chicago's just. I can't feel my legs.
Listen. Bears fans, they are horrible too, but they're blindly optimistic. Though it's fun.
But Andy Dalton. Okay, we'll end on this. Andy Dalton. What is the vibe right now with Bears fans up in Chicago? Is Andy Dalton their QB1?
I think what Bears fans are recognizing from all the practice reports and such is that Andy's a real professional. He can move an offense, and he's better than Nick Foles. And I think all those things they didn't believe going into camp. And it's kind of
because the only things that they really knew about Andy Dalton is what the Bengals fan base has panic cried out for years.
Wow. Full circle.
Wow. Full circle.
That's broadcasting. But it's true. It's been all bad vibes about Andy Dalton all the time. So
yeah.
Now they're seeing that he's a professional. He can move the ball, and they are okay with it being a slow passing of the torch to Fields. But boy, Justin Fields looks good, man. I mean, it's popping out of his hands. I think he's going to be a great player in Chicago. And the cool thing about a Chicago quarterback, because they've never had one, if Justin Fields, let's just say he's an MVP level quarterback, he will be the most famous athlete in American professional sports. That's how big of a deal it would be to be a Bears star quarterback. This franchise is large and popular, and so is the market. And there's a lot of people connected to the market in terms of marketing and sports talk and the whole thing. So,
and they haven't had that guy, that star quarterback that they can rally behind.
Well, look how world famous Michael Jordan was. And I'm not saying Justin Fields is going to be Michael Jordan, but an MVP quarterback is just as famous as an NBA superstar. So they haven't had one of those since Michael Jordan. So if Justin Fields, I mean, think about how famous Jim McMahon is.
Yeah.
In 1 year where he was good. If Justin Fields is an MVP level quarterback, he'll lead in jersey sales, and he'll be one of the most influential figures in the NFL.
Still, I am biased. I hope that Andy Dalton is the quarterback when they play the Bengals.
Yeah, just please.
Okay, I guess you're also hoping that, but for a different reason.
Well, listen, running quarterbacks, rookie debut against the Bengals, that never goes well for us.
Yeah,
okay?
That's true. That's true. Bengals fans better also hope that it is Andy Dalton behind center. All right, that is all that we have. We are at 5 o'clock. I am going to end this. I got your rant ready for next week. Take notes on Browns fans, and Browns fans, if you are listening because you love our podcast, but you probably will not like next week's episode. So tune in and get your hate comments ready.
Of course.
Till next week.
You guys.